Hello, everybody. You are listening to the Startup Secrets for Entrepreneurs, and I am your host, Shelby Oleschlager. Our mission here is to help entrepreneurs make a difference and navigate the messy world of startup or relaunch. Join me today where we dig deep with our guests to give you the best concepts and strategies to fast track your business. Today, we have Anjani Amriit, who is with us. So thank you so much, first of all, for joining us. And to get started, please tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Sure. Thank you for having me. It's really great to be on here and be part of this amazing podcast. I am a conscious leadership expert and women's empowerment advocate and a reformed corporate lawyer. So I worked for over nearly 2 decades as a corporate mergers and acquisitions lawyer in the top law firms around the world, both in the UK and Australia. And I started my business out of personal crisis because I literally burnt out as a lawyer. I didn't have any tools for managing the stress and the pressure. I was also one of the only women in a very male-dominated environment. And so I became very much like a man to try to find success, to try to fit in. And so I dropped who I was. I lost myself in my work. And as a result of that, I got very sick and I burnt out. And I took myself to India to eat, pray, love myself back to wellness. And when I got back from India, I set up my own business, which is what I do now. I work with leaders around the world, especially women in business. And I love supporting women in business to break those glass ceilings and to create success on their own terms.
I love that. There's so much to unpack there. I'm curious, though, just to go back a little bit of you understanding and realizing that you weren't well and that you're getting burnt out. Can you walk us through that and also the things that you learned now that, from going through that experience?
Yeah, I was overgiving, overworking, overdriving myself because I didn't feel good enough. I never felt good enough. So my symptoms, I had constant anxiety, like low level constant anxiety. I couldn't sleep properly. I lost a stack of weight. So I couldn't eat very much. I was diagnosed with irritable bowel syndrome, and the doctors said, you'll never cure it. You have it for the rest of your life. I had regular panic attacks and I would be in and out of hospital almost weekly. And that was happening for about 3 years towards the end. I didn't know what was wrong with me. The mainstream medical doctors just told me to take antidepressant tablets. And I just thought there just has to be an answer to this. I am not taking antidepressant tablets. There's got to be a better way. And so that led me to looking at alternative places to heal myself, to find answers. I wanted to know something that resonated with me. I wanted to find answers that I found that were like, yes, that's it. I can understand what's going on inside of me. And that's what it led to, even though it was a harrowing experience, it actually led to profound wellness and purpose.
Mm-hmm. And so now you're helping these women with the same sort of problems, which I think is great. Like your story is the most powerful thing, they say. So when you're helping these women, what type of things that you notice other than just from your own sake of like you didn't feel good enough? What are the things that these women are going through that you're able to redirect them?
A lot of unconscious bias. And what I mean by that is unconscious self-sabotage. So perfectionism, making sure working way longer and way harder than they need to try to reach this impossible point of perfection that is impossible to reach anyway. Never feeling good enough, waiting for the shoe to drop, waiting for someone to tap them on the shoulder and say, what are you doing here? You need to leave. You're in the wrong place. You're not good enough. So trying to earn their seat at the table constantly and not recognizing that they've already earned it by being there in the first place. And then helping them step into their feminine leadership power, because often as women, and we're not aware of it, which is why it's unconscious bias, we're not aware that we are acting like men to try to win male approval in a male-dominated environment, which is the corporate world and the business world. Historically, it's been run by men. Historically, there's hierarchy, there's competition, there's aggression, and women bring a very different natural set of leadership qualities to the table that often they don't honor, and often they have believed the rhetoric or the narrative of that's, you're over emotional, you're a witch, you shouldn't be bringing your emotions to work. And that's where our power is as women. And so it's important that we start to relate to our emotions so that we can regulate them in a way and bring them to the boardroom table, the business table. That is very powerful.
Mm-hmm. That makes so much sense. And I totally resonate with that. Well, I think a lot of women entrepreneurs will definitely feel that. Is there some sort of balance that we can have, because we are in that a bit more of a male dominated field? Is there a way that we can balance the feminine leadership that we have and use it that will work to our advantage in these fields?
Yes, definitely. And I'm a big advocate for bringing both. So I refer it to, you can call it the masculine or feminine leadership quality, or you can call it the yin and yang. Mm. And these are not gender-based qualities, but actually inherent qualities that we all have. And so if you're a woman in business and you've reached some form of success, then you've already got a good amount of yang or masculine leadership quality going on for you. So bringing balance is to actually introduce those qualities of your feminine leadership, which include things like a moral compass, a conscience, bringing your conscious to your work, your business, your passions, your heart, collaborating with other women, getting a mentor, one that champions your cause, having role models that are women, that are female, that are in their feminine, that can show you the way, that can demonstrate how you can bring that to your business, how you can bring it to the table in business. And also connecting from the heart, from your passions, and connecting deeply with the people around you and authentically. I just hosted a women's lunch round table. There were 20 women, all the movers and shakers there. And we had such a deep and authentic conversation. Once we'd got over the niceties, then we dropped deep into being real and authentic. And we were sharing about grief that we were feeling and unprocessed emotions. There were tears and there were, real sharings, real stories. And we connected so deeply, and it was so powerful. And all the women said that was the most powerful meeting they'd ever had. And off the back of that, we are stronger when we are together.
Mm-hmm. Wow. I love that. And there is nothing like just bringing that sense of community, like you said, and having that support really is incredibly powerful, especially I think as women, because we often do feel a little alone, especially as an entrepreneur. So you do say that you've hosted retreats and events. Can we talk a little bit about that, and how did that come about?
Yes, it's an interesting story, many interesting stories, but how the retreat part of my business came about was I was coming up to my 40th birthday, and I was feeling guilty, like women normally do, about putting myself first. I really wanted to go on holiday. I really needed a break. But it was my mum's 60th birthday, and I was in Australia, my mum was in the UK, and I felt guilty for even thinking about taking myself on holiday rather than going back to the UK and being with my mum. Anyway, I made a decision to go on holiday, and I went to the outback of Australia. I went to Uluru. It's something I'd always wanted to do. I had dreams of it even before I'd gone to Australia. I booked it, and when I got there, I met this amazing person, and I shared with him how I was looking to bring people out here. It was just so powerful. And he said, well, I run retreats out here. Why don't you I have all the logistics. Why don't you come? And he introduced me to Indigenous communities out there. They initiated me into their communities, which is pretty much unheard of. I got taken on women's business and men's business, which is totally unheard of. And it all started from there. So I have a passion for travel and adventure and mysticism and the sacred.
You cut out for 1 second. No.
Who we really are and what we came for.
Right. Okay. I'm so sorry. You cut out a little bit. I wasn't able to get that last part. Did you want to re-say it?
I'll re-say it and then you can cut it.
Okay.
So, did you get the part about how it started?
Yeah, it was just the last little bit of you doing like the men one and.
Okay.
Sorry.
So it's okay. So I was taken on women's business and then also men's business, which is completely unheard of. And it was such a privilege and an honor to do that. And from then on, I realized that this was my joy. Like I had to do this for other people, to bring other people to sacred places, meet with Indigenous people and take from the deep wisdom that they have and bring this back to our modern lives. And that's what I help people do on retreats. I take retreats to sacred places around the world. We take of and we share of ancient wisdoms. And then I help people connect to who they really are, what their true purpose is, and then bring all of that wisdom back into their everyday lives.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I have a question. I already kind of know the answer, but with all that like soul seeking and everything, how does it then relate back into the business? What are people able to take from that experience into their everyday lives and into their businesses?
More heart, more passion, more joy, more clarity. Because when we're working in our business, it becomes very transactional over time, and we lose who we are in our business. We lose why we started it in the first place. We lose the passion, we lose the joy, we lose the motivation. So it brings radical passion back. It brings motivation, inspiration, direction. It also brings deeper purpose. It brings clear direction for the future, radical innovation as well. Like they have all these new ideas and get very excited about where they can bring their business, where they can take it and how they can do that. So we do the strategy piece as well. So it has so many amazing benefits for business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes so much sense. I'd like to go back a little bit. So like you've done all this stuff. What was it like in the earlier days when you were trying to build the authority to say, hey, I know these things, I went through the experience? What was that journey like for you showing up in that way to help these women? Because you know you can. So how were you able to do that?
Look, people think that if you go into business, if you're not an overnight success, then you must give it up. It's the wrong thing and you have to do something else. And it's not true. It's really important that you continue with the discipline of backing yourself 100%, backing your idea, backing what you want to do, and just don't take no for an answer. So that's what I did. And I learned that failure was a part of running a business, and that failure is an opportunity for growth. And when I first became an entrepreneur, I knew nothing. I knew about how to mentor other people. I knew how to mentor people in business, but I didn't know how to run a business per se. So I had to learn so many different parts of running a business: media and marketing and PR and systems and procedures, and all of that. We have to take all of that as a learning curve and embrace it. And the irony is that our business actually helps us grow as a person if we can be conscious enough to be aware of that. And so I love when I discover new areas of development in my business, because I realize it's growing me as a person. And that's why we're here. That's why we're here in life, is to grow and expand and learn.
Exactly. That's probably my favorite part of entrepreneurship. Is it's like this something is scary and you almost want to walk into that scary, because like you just said, you know, it's going to help you. And yeah, that is kind of the goal, really, is you want to be growing and evolving. That's us as humans. So I do think that's super powerful. So when you're like starting to grow the businesses, what was the model initially and how has that evolved for you?
Look, it started out with people. I was actually doing Ayurvedic wellness sessions because I retrained in Ayurvedic medicine, so holistic medicine. So I started out with health and well-being, and I very quickly, just naturally, started mentoring the people who are coming to me. I also was doing energy work with them as well, because I trained with yogis as an energy healer, as a health therapist, as a meditation teacher. So there were many tools that I had in my back pocket that I just started naturally bringing to the table. I also brought a lot of the wisdom from spirituality and psychology that I'd learned. And so the model soon grew from one-off, sessions to establishing a program and enrolling people into programs that actually then I could see transformation happening. And it was important that I got that transformation for people, because otherwise I wasn't being fed. So then I started bringing retreats, the model of the retreats, into what I do with people, and then running programs, live programs, and then more recently publishing a book that became an international bestseller, which was super exciting, Corporate Dropouts, and being a speaker, which is what I love. And today every aspect of my business brings me joy, and I won't tolerate anything less than that anymore.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. That's such a good rule to have, and definitely great. I'm sure other women or other entrepreneurs will take a lot from that, to just know that that's possible for them to have a business that they truly feel that way about. So for people listening and they're wondering, what exactly would you say your ideal clients are?
Predominantly women who are in business. They're looking to either move out of corporate and into their own business or passion project, or women who are already running a business, but it's a hobby at the moment. In other words, they've got it's a side hustle and they haven't yet got it going. Or if they've been in a business for a while, to help them grow and scale it, to help them move past their current glass ceilings. So those are the three areas where I really, that's where my genius zone is. That's where I can really get in deep and create powerful transformation that's really fast for women.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Now, to go back to the book, I'm curious about that journey, because writing a book is no easy feat. So what was that like for you to get it into an international bestseller?
It was a dream come true. And again, I'll say it wasn't an overnight success. So if you're listening to this and you think, oh, another person who's written a book and it's been bestseller, it's been a dream of mine for about 20 years. And it's taken me this long to build the courage, not the confidence, but the courage to put myself out there, to actually write it, to spend time doing what I love, and to letting go of this secret fantasy, because often it's a secret fantasy for people. And we think, if I don't go near it, then it can stay a success in my own mind. And then to go near it is terrifying. So I got a mentor to help me do it. And I say that it's important to have a mentor to have success in business. And that was a game changer for me, is surrounding myself with people who champion my cause. So having a writing mentor and a coach helped me get to write it, and help me edit it, and help me get it out there and market it. And it was, I literally cried when it was released, and it was a bestseller on day one, the day that we launched it. And it's a multi-author book, so there are stories of other women who left their 9 to 5 and set up their own business and did it successfully, and all of the pains and challenges and things we've had to overcome, and all of our tips to help other people in business who are wanting to find success on their own terms, really, in business.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that is so cool. That must have been such a good milestone, just that you could, check off and say that you did. So now that you've gone this far, what is your next steps? Like, what does your next year look like, and the things you want to do?
I'm currently finishing my second book, and that's commissioned by Hay House. So it's going to be entirely my own book, which is the next scary thing for me, is writing an entire book for myself, but I'm loving the process. I'm also starting back my retreats after COVID. So I've got an India retreat coming up, and also one to the outback in Australia in October. So I'm looking forward to that. So more retreats to more amazing places in the coming years. And I'm also working on a documentary series that is based around the retreats that I run and Indigenous and sacred wisdom. So that is super exciting, totally out of my comfort zone. But I'm building my team and getting that happening now too. So yeah, it's very exciting.
Wow, that is exciting. I'd love to watch that because that's totally up my alley. I'm curious still, like these retreats, how does it go about? So you said kind of your first one that you did, but now doing them, has there been any big obstacles or anything that was a surprise that you've had to face for really getting them to be a success?
You know, I have to say, hand on heart, with the retreats, that has been the easiest thing that I've ever done in my business. It's just been the most natural thing for me to do. The hardest thing that I had to learn on retreat was how powerfully and how deep people go on the retreats. And so learning how to really hold space for people while they were going through these deep and very rapid personal transformations, and knowing that going through that process for them would be very cathartic. And so I learned that the less I do on retreat and the more that I allow the people to go through their cathartic transformation, the easier it was for people. So there's a bit of a process that everyone goes through the first few days. It's finding your feet, literally, getting out of your regular routine, so disrupting the routine, and then discovering and going deeper into who am I, why am I really here, and then processing a lot of what has been unprocessed emotions, events and things that have happened to us in our life that we don't have time to process because we're busy running a business. So allowing that process to happen. So it's like cleaning out the cup, really, so that then by the end of the retreat, we're filling the cup up with lots of new inspiration, ideas, new energy, and then sending people out into their business and the world with that renewed vigor for life, vitality, and just a real connection with the profundity of life and nature and all of that juiciness and all of that richness. So for me, it's an absolute joy. And, these days, the only challenge is making sure that I can just really be present for people while they're going through that process. So I do a lot of preparation before we go.
Just for yourself, I guess, to be able to show up in that way. And that Absolutely. Is, I guess, probably like a lifelong process. Like you're always going to be working.
Yes. Yeah. I'm an eternal student. I'm constantly needing to grow and evolve myself so my business can grow and evolve, so I can continue to serve people in a genuine, authentic way. And it's really important that as a mentor, a coach, a speaker, that we do this, that we don't just preach, that we actually walk our talk and we do the work on ourselves. And I think that's where a lot of coaches and mentors and speakers fall down. Unfortunately, they get to a certain place and their egos take over. And so we have to stay humble. And that's what helps us serve other people in the best way.
Yeah, so powerful. It's so true. And I think when you have those intentions, like you just said, you're never really going to fail because you know that you're showing up and you're putting everything you can into it. So for people listening that really resonate with this, where can they find you?
I have a website. It's my name, anjaniamriit.com, and there's lots of free videos on there, free trainings, free meditations, lots of free questionnaires, as well as my retreats, my programs. You can book a call with me, and there's all my media on there. So there's lots of things on there. YouTube, I'm on all the socials, and I've got lots of articles on my website as well. So lots of information from my website.
Perfect. And I always like to finish off, if you have one final piece of advice or something you want to leave us listeners with thinking about after this, what would it be?
For every challenge that you're faced, for every problem that you're facing, the solution to it is birthed at the same time. So go inside and ask yourself to look at where the solution is. And you'll be surprised if you set your mind to this task of looking for the solution, rather than focusing on the problem, then it will pop into your head. It's quite profound how that works. So give your mind something new to think about and ask your mind to bring you the solution to whatever challenge you're facing at the moment.
Wow, perfect. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. And I definitely took a lot away from this conversation, and I hope others did as well. So just thank you for sharing your wisdom.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's been a real privilege and honor to chat with you today.
Yeah, you're welcome.